Welcome to the first hip stability workout from weeks 13 and 14 of Unlock Your Bautie. We'll be standing the entire time. You'll need a chair or a wall for balance. Let's get started with plie squats. Stand with your feet nice and wide, at least a couple of feet apart, with your feet pointed outward about 45 degrees. On the inhale, put a gentle bend in your knees as you lower toward the floor, keeping your pelvis in neutral. Exhale, back up to standing. Continue moving with your breath. Focus on keeping the outside of your knees driving back toward the back of the mat. You want to be opening from the hips, keeping the pelvis in neutral. You should feel this in your inner thighs, your quads, and your glutes. Keep the shoulders down and back. Moving into standing hip abduction pulses on the right side. Position yourself so the wall or chair is available for assistance on your left side. Make sure your pelvis is in neutral, and then begin focusing on shifting your weight into your left foot. Active exhale, engaging your core as you extend your right leg. Keep your pelvis in neutral the entire time. This will keep the movement focused on your glute and hip muscles. A slight bend in that left knee. Don't let it lock on you. Imagine lifting up through your kneecap. Really feel this in the side. Release, moving into rainbows on the other side. Just change direction so you can use the wall or chair for support on the right. Same thing, keeping your pelvis in neutral, and then start to shift your weight onto your right foot. This time, point your toes using your big toe as your guide. On the inhale, swoop it back behind you, keeping your big toe on the floor. On the active exhale, bring it back in front. Again, keep the pelvis in neutral. Continue moving with your breath. I like to keep my hand on my waist. Helps me make sure that I'm not moving my pelvis. You don't want to be doing this as you go back. You want to just use these hip and glute muscles. You should also feel your right leg stabilizing you as you're swinging back and forward. Release, switching sides, moving into a hip flexor, opening move on the right side. Position yourself so you have support on your left side. I know the switching sides is a little bit annoying, but I want to avoid us overworking one leg at a time. This time we're going to do 2 movements, so 2 rounds of breath. Pelvis in neutral, shifting your weight onto your left leg, your left foot. Active exhale, your knee toward your chest. Inhale, opening your knee toward the right, an external rotation of the hip. Exhale, back to your chest. Inhale, lower the foot. Repeat, moving with your breath. Don't do what I do. Use something for balance. Doing this on the wrong side so that you can see what I'm doing on the side. Do as I say, not as I do. Release, moving into pelvic tilts in a lunge stance, and in a staggered stance with your left foot in front. Your feet should be about hips distance apart, maybe a little bit less. Definitely not like you're on a tightrope. You want to be able to stand comfortably with both of your feet flat, so whatever amount of distance that is for you. Put a slight bend into that left knee. On the active exhale, tilt your pelvis toward the sky, an anterior tilt. On the inhale, bring your pelvis forward into a posterior tilt, pushing into the front of your hip, using your right foot. As you exhale and push back, you should feel this through your hamstring and glute in your left leg. As you inhale, tilting your pelvis forward, you should feel this in the front of your right hip. This right here, we're getting ready for a bend and lift hinging motion, teaching our body how to properly do that. And that's why as you tilt forward, you'll feel your weight shift. Release. Take a minute to reset. We're going to repeat this on the other side. Moving into plie squats again, taking your feet as wide as comfortable, making sure to point your toes at least 45 degrees out. Inhaling as you lower, exhaling as you push back up. Remember, keep the pelvis in neutral. This should be a small movement. If you feel like you're falling forward, imagine keeping your weight toward the outside of your feet as you keep those knees driving toward the back of the mat. Use your core to help you as you lower straight. Moving into the hip abduction pulses on the left side, so position yourself with assistance on the right side from the wall or chair. Keeping your pelvis in neutral, shifting your weight onto your right leg. On the active exhale, opening at the hip, inhaling back to center. If this feels awkward, you can leave your toe on the floor, or you can keep a slight bend in the knee. As long as you feel it back in here, that's the most important part. Watch that pelvis. Keep it secure. We don't want any of the movement from instability. Release, switching sides and moving into hip rainbows on the right side. Pointing the toes out in front. Inhale as you swing around. Exhale as you bring it back to the front. Remember some of what we've been talking about in the deep core workouts and the stretches, about feeling strain in the low back and making sure to stop before we do that, and how that can be a sign that we're tilting our pelvis when we should be keeping it in neutral. Using just these muscles to help us move. Release, moving into a hip flexion opener on the left side. Again, pelvis in neutral, shifting weight onto the right side. Active exhale, the knee to the chest. Inhale, the knee open by way of the hip. Exhale, the knee back to the chest. Inhale, release. Repeat, moving with your breath. Use your glute right here, squeeze that glute to open that hip. Remember how engaging and squeezing our glutes can help take pressure off of our low back. It's not about how wide you can open. Do it safely. Just using those muscles, small controlled movements. Release, moving into the last move, pelvic tilt in a lunge stance on the right side, meaning right foot in front. Again, getting started in a position where both of your feet are comfortably flat on the floor and then gently bending into the right knee. Active exhale as you tilt your pelvis toward the ceiling. Inhaling as you scoop your pelvis into a posterior position. Continue moving with your breath. Exhale and tilt your pelvis, really push into that heel and engage that glute. Inhale, pushing into that front hip. Exhale, tilt the pelvis, core tight, engage that glute. Feel that. Forward. Feel that in your hip. Release. That is it. You have finished the workout. Great job. Feel free to do this 2 to 3 times per week if your body allows it. Just make sure not to do it 2 days in a row. And I will see you back here on the 29th for weeks 15 and 16, the last of Unlock Your Bautie.